Hey guys, I'm Olive and welcome to another video. In this tutorial, we're going to be learning how to make this gorgeous spaghetti strap tie top. There's a written pattern available to go with this video. The link will be in the description box from sizes extra small to 5XL. For this tutorial, we're going to be using worsted weight yarn, 6.5mm hook and a few stitch markers. Let's jump right in. So for this tutorial, we're going to be using two different yarn colors. This is going to be our color A, which is our primary color, and then this is going to be our color B, which is our secondary color. So I'm going to make it a size medium in this tutorial, which is bust size 36 to 38 inches. And to begin, we're going to make a slip knot, insert your hook into the loop, and then we're going to make a chain of 48. At this point, if you want the top to be longer, you can go ahead and chain more. If you want the top to be shorter, you can go ahead and chain less. And we're going to be making this chain with our color B, which is our secondary color. So go ahead and chain 48. Okay, so if you're going to be modifying the chain length, say you're going to make it longer or smaller, just make sure to end up with an even number of chains so your stitch count will be odd for the stitch pattern to work. So I have 48 chained up, and we're going to turn this, and then we're going to work into the back bumps of the chains. You can see the back bumps. So yarn over into the second chain from our hook. Remember, we're going to be going in through the back bump. Work a half double crochet. Then our next stitch is going to be a slip stitch. To the next back bump, work a slip stitch. Yarn over. The next is going to be a half double crochet. Then the next is going to be a slip stitch. Okay, so we're going to repeat this pattern. Work half double crochet, next stitch is going to be a slip stitch. Continue and work your way to the end, and now meet you guys back. When we have two chains remaining unworked, we're going to drop this, and we're going to grab color A, which is our primary color, and we're going to make a slip knot. Okay, then we're going to slip the hook back into the loop. The next stitch is going to be a slip stitch, so insert your hook into the back bump, but then we're not going to be completing the slip stitch with the color B. We're going to grab color A, insert your hook into the loop, and then we're going to pull through to complete the slip stitch. Okay, so into the next back bump, work a half double crochet, stitch, okay, so for row 1 we have 47 stitches, 46 using the color B and 1 using color A. So to begin row 2, we're going to chain 1, then we're going to turn. From here on and out, we're going to be working to the back loops of the stitch only. So into the next stitch, which is a half double crochet, we're going to be working a back loop only half double crochet. So yarn over into the next stitch, which is a HDC, insert your hook, and then work a half double crochet using color A. Then the next stitch is also going to be worked using color A, and it's going to be a slip stitch. So insert your hook into this loop, but then we're not going to complete with this yarn color. We're going to pull it like so, then we're going to grab this color to complete. This makes the color change seamless, so gently, not too tight, pull through to complete the slip stitch. Okay, so this is going to be the wrong side of our work, because this is where the color change is going to be happening. That was why we pulled this yarn color back here, so that this side can be seamless, and then this side we have loops of yarn going up, showing the color change. So the next stitch is going to be a half double crochet. We're going to work in a half double crochet stitch into it. So into the back loop, work a half double crochet. Next is a slip stitch, work a slip stitch. Next, a half double crochet, work. So continue and work your way across, and I'll meet you guys back. For the last stitch, we're going to be working into the 2 loops. So the last is going to be HDC into the 2 loops. So this is the end of row 2. So to begin row 3, we're going to chain 1. Then we're going to turn our work. And then we're going to repeat the stitch pattern until we have 4 stitches remain unworked. So the first stitch is going to be HDC into the back loop. Next is going to be a slip stitch. So continue, and I'll meet you guys back when we have 4 stitches remain unworked. Back, and I have 4 stitches remain unworked. So for the next stitch, which is going to be a slip stitch, insert your hook. And we're now going to be completing the stitch with this color. We're going to switch to color A. So pull, make sure not too tight, complete with color A. And next stitch, half double crochet into the back loop, work. Then the next stitch, slip stitch. Then the last stitch is going to be half double crochet. Remember, we're going to be going in through the 2 loops. So the 2 loops, work HDC. Okay, so according to this stitch pattern, for row 1 we had one stitch using color A. For row 2 we did 2 stitches. Then for row 3 we did 3 stitches. So as you can see, for every row, color A advances by 1 stitch. So we're going to repeat row 2 and row 3. Remember to always advance the color A for each row, and then I'll meet you guys back at the end of row 12. Okay, I decided to come back to explain further. To begin row 4, chain 1 and then 10. Into the first stitch, work a half double crochet. Into the second, slip stitch. Next, half double crochet. As you can see, we've worked into the stitches with color A from the previous row. So the next stitch is going to be a slip stitch. So we're going to start with color A, insert our hook, then we're going to loop this back like so, and then complete the stitch with color B. So I hope you can see what I mean by color A advances by 1 stitch for every row. So for this row, which is row 4, we have 4 stitches with color A. And then we're going to complete the stitch pattern using color B to the end of the row. So the next stitch is half double crochet, work. Next, a slip stitch. So continue work your way across, and as you can see on this side, which is going to be the wrong side of this pattern, this is where we're going to be changing. So why this remains clean. So as you work your way up, you see the color change appear more clearly. So continue work your way. I'll meet you guys back at the end of row 12. Almost at the end of row 5, I came back to show you the color change a bit more closely. Okay, so now I have 2 stitches from color B remain unworked. This is when I'm going to change colors. So insert your hook. If you notice, we always change colors when we're working the slip stitch. And this is the back, so the yarn stays at the back. Then we're going to loop this and pull through to complete the slip stitch. Make sure not to pull too tight, and then the next stitch, which is going to be a half double crochet, go ahead and work into the back loop. Then the next stitch, slip stitch, next half double crochet. So continue, and I'll meet you guys back at the end of row 12. I'm at the end of row 12. At this point, you should have 12 stitches with color A and 35 stitches with color B. Next step would be to chain 75. So go ahead and chain 75, and then I'll meet you guys back. Okay, so I finished up chaining 75. So we're going to turn, and into the back bump of the chain we're going to be working slip stitches. So to the second chain from our hook, work a slip stitch, to the next, work a slip stitch, continue, and then when you get to the end of the chain, I'll meet you guys back. So I've just worked the last slip stitch in the last chain. I'm going to be attaching a stitch marker into this last slip stitch, so I know not to work into it again, since it's for a strap and we're done with the strap. So attach a stitch marker, and then the next stitch should be a half double crochet. So into the back loop, yarn over, work a half double crochet. Next, slip stitch, half double crochet. So continue and work your way down. Remember to change colors accordingly, and then we're going to continue in the stitch pattern, repeating rows 2 and 3 until we get to row 34, changing colors accordingly. So continue repeating rows 2 and 3 till row 34, and then I'll meet you guys back. I'm back in the row 23. So this is exactly half the width of the top if you're working for a size medium. If you want a diagonal stripy color work, that means you have to continue with the color change as usual. But if you want a design that looks exactly like mine, then you have to do this. So I forgot to mention this. At the end of row 23, you should have 23 stitches in color A and then 24 in color B. So to begin row 24, chain 1, and then you're going to work half double crochet stitch in the first stitch, slip stitch in the next stitch, and then continue. And then when you get to this last stitch in color A, I'll meet you guys back. Okay, so I'm here. Next step would be to just continue working all the way across with your color A, and then you can go ahead and cut off this and leave a tail long enough to weave in later. So continue working with the color A until you get to row 34, and then I'll meet you guys back. So I'm at the end of row 34. So I changed colors to color B for 32 and 33, and then I change back to color A for 34. So next step is to chain 75. So go ahead and chain 75, and then I'll meet you guys back. So I just finished up chaining 75. So next step, 10, and then we're going to be working into the back bumps of the chain. So into the second chain from our hook, we're going to work a slip stitch into the next. So go ahead and work your way down, and then I'll meet you guys back. So I just worked the last slip stitch. Remember to attach a stitch marker to this stitch so you don't work it for the next row. So next stitch should be a half double crochet. So yarn over into the next stitch, work a yarn over, work a half double crochet, sorry, and then the next should be a slip stitch. So continue and work your way down. Then when you get to the end, I'll meet you guys back so we can change colors. Okay, so I'm back and I'm almost at the end of row 35. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab our color B, grab color B, and then we're going to make a slip knot, and then keep this aside. We're going to insert our hook back into the live loop, and then we're going to work into the last stitch, yarn over into the 2 top loops, pull up a loop, but then we're going to complete using this. So insert your hook into this loop, and then we're going to pull through, and then chain 1. And now we're going to work HDC into the first stitch, and to the next stitch, a slip stitch, next HDC. So continue, and then when you get to the last stitch, which is the 47th stitch, chain 1, and then work your way back down, and I'll meet you guys back. So I'm at the end of row 37, so we're going to switch back to color A. So start HDC and then complete with this loop, pull through, and then chain 1 and turn, and then work your way up. So we're going to go back and forth, and then I'll meet you guys back at the end of row 45. At the end of row 45, the next step would be to leave a tail about 135 inches long, or 3.75 yards long, or 3.4 meters long, and then cut, and repeat the steps for a second panel, but don't leave a tail for the second panel. Use only color A, and then I'll meet you guys back. Okay, so for joining, we're going to be, to join this, we're going to be joining a starting edge to a live edge. So for this side, we're supposed to use color B, but then I've run out of color B, so I'm going to be using this purple color. But if you want a more seamless look, you should use color B for the seam. So what we're going to do is to insert our hook into the corner stitch for this panel, and then insert your hook into this live loop. But if you are going to be using color B, just make a slip knot and then insert your hook into the loop from the slip knot, and then pull through to connect both sides, to connect both panels, sorry. Okay, and then chain 1 to secure. Okay, still in the same stitch, we're going to insert our hook into the 2 loops for the panel in front of us, that is the starting edge, and then into the back loop of the corresponding stitch for the panel at the back, which is the finishing or live edge. And then, first of all, you're going to yarn over before you insert your hook into this back loop, and then you're going to yarn over, pull up a loop, and then yarn over, pull through 2, and then slip the loop the rest of the way. For the next stitch, which is going to be a slip stitch, we're just going to insert our hook into the 2 top loops. This is hard for me to, okay, and then into the back loop of the panel at the back, and then slip stitch. Then for the next stitch, which is a half double crochet, insert your hook into the 2 top loops for this starting edge, and then into then yarn over, and then into the back loop of the panel at the back, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and then slip the rest of the way. Next, a slip stitch, insert your hook into the 2 top loops, into the back loop of the panel at the back, and then slip stitch. Next, which is half double crochet, insert your hook into the 2 top loops, and then yarn over, then into the back loop, and then pull up a loop, pull through 2, and then slip the rest of the way. As you can see, because I'm using color A, I have this line here. But if you use color B for your seam, it will look more seamless. So continue the rest of the way, and then when you get to the last stitch, fasten off. Okay, so for the last stitch, which is going to be a half double crochet, insert your hook into the 2 top loops, and then for the panel at the back, which is the finishing edge, we're going to be going through 2 loops instead of just the back loop. So yarn over, and then into the 2 loops, pull, and then slip. Okay, so go ahead and repeat the same steps for the other sides. So I'm done seaming. This is what it looks like. Can you see? It looks seamless. So go ahead and repeat the steps for the other side. All done, finally. As you can see, we've got quite a few ends to weave in. Be meticulous while weaving in so it doesn't come apart as you wash or in the future. If you have not already subscribed to my channel, please can you do so now? I'll take a minute. Thank you for supporting me. That's it for this video. See you in the next one. Bye bye.